In this video we're going to look at the Barrida in a Giro. So what do those words mean? A Barrida, I think literally it translates as sweep or something like that, is where you appear to push your follower's foot with your foot. You don't actually, you lead her with the chest, but it looks as if you're pushing her foot with yours. We did a Barrida in a sidestep in a previous video, and probably if I've edited it right about here it should be telling you which video that was in. And we've also done a Giro again in another video that we look at. So if you want to look at the Giro in detail, go to that video first. This one, however, we're going to break it down a bit. So what we did in the previous one was a Giro that involved, it was sort of what we call like the classic or standard Giro. So we led into it with a back step, we then aimed her. We then did a forward step, a pivot, a side step for her, pivot, back step, and then side step. And if you saw, my left foot stayed where it was all the time. In this version, we're going to be less concerned about where my left foot is, because there'll be a little bit of shuffling to make this thing work easily. And we're taking away all the forward steps from her version of it. So we're only going to do back steps. So in essence, the Giro will look like, we're going to start with a side step, pivot, lead her backwards, side step, pivot, backwards, side step. Okay, so that's the Giro. Like I said, look at the other video if you want to see the details of how that works. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add in the Barrida. It's worth pointing out I occasionally get confused with Spanish foods at this point, so if I call it the burrito, just live with it, alright? So we're going to start off with a side step. We're then going to pivot her, but as we pivot her, keeping my foot on the ground, I'm going to bring my foot around to contact the inside of her standing foot. Now, I won't be able to get all the way round to there, but as long as I keep my foot on the ground and don't stomp or come in too fast, then even with open-toed shoes this won't be a problem. I'll then lead her backwards, and then as I go I keep my chest leading her backwards, but then as I turn I move her foot with my foot. So what you end up with, it looks like you're pushing her foot. Actually all you're really doing, she's done the back step there, where she would normally collect to there, I'm just kind of guiding it to collect over here. So I'm kind of doing half of the side step for her. So in practice, if I do this way, that'll probably work best. We'll start with the side step, pivot, block, and then I lead her back, the side step across, and see she's halfway there at this point. She's still probably 95% weight on the standing foot. You can just about lift that foot, yeah? Yeah, there we go. Then the transfer of weight happens. I then pivot her again. Back step. Barrida. Pivot. Back step. Barrida. Yeah? So I'm leading her around with my chest. Now, if you were paying attention, you'll see that in the previous video I kind of advise you for the start of a Giro is that you're pivoting on one foot, but you're kind of just nudging yourself around with this foot. It's a bit of a cheat's way of doing a Giro, but it's a great way to learn. With this one, you can't do that because as I lead her backwards, my foot has gone over there. I now can't use that to pull me round because it'll make everything else out of balance. So I have to be able to pivot without using this foot. So even if that's off the ground, I can now pivot like that. And I do that by making sure the weight is on the front part of the foot, and I just flick the heel round a bit. So I've led her over there, flick, pivot around, lead her, flick. And just that little flick of the heel gets me to pivot without having to do any funky changes of weight or anything like that. So that's the leader's technique. Followers sorry, wrong way. As with any of these Barridas, when you feel that contact, which is why it's important, leaders, that you do actually contact her foot, try not to break it until he does. So as you get led back, keep that contact as I move the follower's foot into position. Stay there. Pivot. Back. Barrida. Pivot. Back. Barrida. There. What happens if you break the spell too early, break the illusion too early, is that basically you just complete the step on your own and the Barrida now just looks like the leader's waving his foot around for no reason. So if I was to go there, actually let's do this a little bit further around, you can see it better. If I go lead her there, pivot, and then as I lead her back, if she then went for it, I'm now, what happens? I need to catch up. Yes, so if we do that here again, so you can see what's happening. No, yeah, so you're on your right. So, pivot, lead her back, gone, and then so then nothing connects. So followers, if you feel that contact, kind of assume that something's going to happen with it. Obviously safety first, so if at this point he's made the contact and then the Barrida doesn't happen, either because that wasn't what he meant in the first place, or it's, that something else has changed around you, don't allow yourself to go so far off balance before you put your foot down that you risk falling. So there's a sort of balance point, or a sort of break point if you like. You keep that contact until either your leader disconnects, or you think he's probably either got it wrong or something's changed or whatever. So it's stuck on the floor. Yeah, I've done that before now. You particularly on planks like this, you go to Barrida and the sole of your foot just gets caught between a plank and you go, nothing happens. Followers, don't just wait with your foot here while he's leading you backwards, because he's busy trying to go and unhook his foot from the floor. This all ends badly. So use a bit of prediction, if you like, of risk avoidance, shall we say. Yeah. So followers, in order to make this look good, not only have you got to keep the contact and keep your balance and keep your axis, there's nothing to it. Just do the 7 things at once, you'll be fine. No, not only have you got to keep your balance, keep your axis and whatever, keep the foot as it slides on the floor and allow the knee to bend slightly. So as you go, it's a sort of, just to show you one. So, side step, pivot. Now watch what happens. She goes backwards, this foot bends, the knee doesn't stay straight at this point. Almost the worst angle to demonstrate this, so let's try here as well. Lead her back, step right over here, you can see what's happening. So the knee bends and then the weight transfers. So it's all about keeping the foot on the floor, and it's about allowing a little bit of flexibility. I know we always say keep the free leg straight, but look how awful this looks if you actually keep the free leg straight at this point. It's what we call wooden leg syndrome for this. It's very stiff and there's no fluidity to it. This is dance, remember. This isn't just moving people around. We're dancing this to the music. So for both of you, don't rush it. It's a slow move. It's not football. Yeah. Although actually that was one of the things that somebody did work out in one of the classes once. This kind of action for a lot of these Barridas, if you've ever actually played football or kicked a ball, it's like a very slow motion kick. So your heel is up, your foot is turned out slightly, the toe is on the ground and you kick. So it's not a toe punt, it's not sideways, it's kind of a penalty kick rather than a long distance drive. Hey, I don't play football, I don't watch football, but people who have and do tell me that's the best way to describe it.